The other thing is just putting on the pin, right? Just sorry, just prepared.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we're...
It's the best thing ever.
Just because you're super tall.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin today's ceremony, please turn off or silence your cell phones. Thank you. Good afternoon. I am Master Sergeant Veronique Oshana, but I introduce myself as Veronica because most people can't pronounce my real name. But for those of you that really know me, they call me Veto.
And I'm Master Sergeant Jen LaPlante, and we will be your narrators for today's ceremony as we pay tribute to Senior Master Sergeants Angie and Manny Ramirez and their family on the occasion of their retirement after a combined 52 years of dedicated service to their country and the United States Air Force.
Officiating today's ceremony is Assistant Force Support and Family Programs Headquarters Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Sherry Graham and Joint Air Battle Management Officer, Joint Staff, Joint Assessment Division, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey T. Digsby.
Please give a warm welcome to the seniors' family members. Please hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. Their daughter, Emma, and their son, Justin, her 91-year-old granny, her parents, Felipe and Ruth Hidalgo, his dad, Emmanuel Ramirez Sr., his sister, Gloria, and her husband, Shane, and their children, Haley and Nathaniel, his brother, Edgar, and his wife, Daneda, and their children, Anaya and Espen, her uncle, Master Sergeant, retired Albert Segura, and his wife, Mary, her uncle, Technical Sergeant, retired Jose Rodriguez, and his wife, Nina, and to all the family and friends that have traveled to make it here today, and those of us that are with us on the dark web.
Finally, we are honored to have multiple distinguished visitors in attendance. Please hold your applause until all the individuals have been introduced. Commander, 75th Force Support Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Summer Lewis. Commander, 729th Air Control Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Babiars. Chief Enlisted Manager, 729th Air Control Squadron, Chief Master Sergeant Noah Bliss. The seniors and their families also extend a warm welcome to all senior staff, commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, family, and friends who have come to celebrate with them.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the singing of our national anthem, followed by the invocation by Mr. Jacob Gonzalez.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bold stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Right shoulder.
You bow your head. Let's pray. God, we're so thankful, God, that we can be here this day, God, amongst friends, God, family, and even military family, God. You brought us together, God. You've covered, God, Angelica, God, in her journey in the military. You have covered, God, Emmanuel, God, in his journey in this military. As they continue, God, this journey, God, in life, God, I pray, God, your blessing, God, upon them. As they turn this next chapter, God, I pray, God, you would bless them, cover them, protect them, their families, God. Be with them, God. I'm praying, God, supernatural, God, favor, God, in their post, God, retirement here in the military, God. God, we thank you for this gathering, God, this ceremony, God. Cover it, bless it, be a part of it, God. God, anoint it, God, and we're asking, God, as we celebrate this day, God, cover those, God, who are currently, God, fighting for our freedoms, oh Lord. Bless them, cover them, protect them, strength, God, and blessing and comfort for their families, God, they left behind, God. God, we're asking you bring them home safely, God. And in this ceremony this day, God, be a part of it, be a part of their lives, God, as they turn this next chapter, God. We give you all praise, God, all honor, all glory. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, and thank you, Senior Airman Gaines, for that rendition of our national anthem. Another round of applause, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Lieutenant Colonel Graham, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Before I dive in, I wanted to acknowledge that I asked Senior Master Sergeant Ramirez about her job here at the FSS, and specifically about her current commander, Lieutenant Colonel Summer Lewis. I wanted to know, did she suck? Was she any good? I was fully prepared to come here and have a heart-to-heart with my friend about her leadership style, but received the following feedback. She is on another level of awesome. Her leadership is absolutely amazing, and she has done wonders for this squadron since the moment she took command. I wanted to first and foremost thank Summer for taking care of your airmen. They are genuinely the backbone of any operation. Was that okay? Will that help you with your final eval? And your letters of recommendation? I was good. For years, I've been pestered relentlessly to officiate this retirement. All these years, I've had pushback and kept pushing for her continued promotion. The truth is, I'm scared to fly. So the more she pestered, the harder I pushed back. Angie always pulled a promotion through. Time and time again, it would seem I wiggled out of that long flight across the U.S. But this time it was different. She was serious. Her pestering, more like stalking, was a little scary, and having been her roommate on a deployment while a young officer, I knew she had the goods on me. So I finally agreed. But before I flew out here to throw the final nail in the coffin, I needed to address a few questions with her. First, call Senior Master Sergeant Ramirez and ask her how she wanted this retirement to go. I had heard about a joint gig with Manny, possibly a short ceremony, something new and different, and last but not least, heavy on the party. Everyone who knows Sergeant Ramirez also knows that she gave me 100 different versions of heavy on the party, none of which had anything to do with an official Air Force ceremony. I asked if it meant, are we throwing down like eating the worm from the tequila bottle, or are we just having more cake? The response was, there will definitely be tequila. So I hope no one came here today looking for cake. So on to my next question. I asked her what she wanted me to focus in on and speak about. See, in the Air Force, we normally go through one's records, detail their assignments, and highlight their biggest achievements, mostly mission-related, concentrated around the highest points of their career to include large contingency operations and worldwide impacts, and etc. Angie stated, and I quote, just stand up there for about 10 minutes and just keep talking about all the fabulous things you know about me, end quote. So per her request, I'd like to start off by saying, this concludes today's ceremony. Thank you all for coming, and be careful as you drive home safely. Way. In all seriousness, I did inquire about how and why she entered into the Air Force, her best and worst days while serving, her proudest accomplishments, her best assignments and why, and anything she wanted me to include about her family, who I feel like I have known for the last 10 years, as Senior Master Sergeant Ramirez and I, in a very contentious time, shared some of our biggest Air Force and personal challenges together. Angie entered the Air Force in August 1995, and I asked her, "Why did you join?" She said she joined to get out of El Paso, Texas. She believed the Air Force was her ticket to jet. Do you see how I just said like jet and Air Force in the same sentence? I just added that lip in right now because I'm good like that. She told me in a roundabout way that this was the time she believed she needed to start setting some goals, to start adulting, being responsible and mature. However, she stated once she was recruited into the Air Force, her recruiter was fired shortly there afterwards. I'm going to leave that little piece of mystery right there and move on to the next question. What was her best day in the service? A clear standout was the day she met then Captain Sherry Graham, an officer amongst all officers, a woman of strength and perseverance, a fast-burning Air Force leader among the masses. Yes, this had to be her best day in service. At least I thought this was definitely her best day in the Air Force. She gave me a hard no on that day. But since I'm the guest speaker, I decided to take a few liberties with this speech and ensure that day was added. But truly a clear and memorable best day was 1 May 2019 when she made senior. I vividly remember this day when she messaged me to tell me she made E8. These are the chosen ones, the coveted, the top 3, the mentors, the teachers, the drivers of success, the backbone of the Air Force. She just entered the mid-level of the leadership triad at the top of the enlisted corps. These are the ones as officers in any service we look at to lead, collaborate, and infuse our younger airmen, Marines, sailors, and soldiers with core values, integrity, and pride. Or for the Air Force, this meant instilling integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. I needed to understand the division of the Air Force's top 3. I needed to be aware of what this meant, what her new responsibilities were, what the Air Force expected from her, and what was this new commitment she had been selected for and entrusted with. I knew making Senior Master Sergeant crossed you over from the paper plates into the fine china dining area, but I needed to know more specifics. I wanted to understand. I needed to know what they stood for and how this changed and matured her. She detailed what this meant, but this is a level of senior enlisted leadership that has tradition and values that can only be known amongst the ranks who walk next to them, and it definitely included a bigger paycheck. It says here I'm supposed to say thank you to all the taxpayers in the crowd, so go ahead and give yourself a clap for that. What pearls of wisdom did my friend have for me? What did she stand for and represent, soaking it up with all of her pride? She said, "If you want it, you can do it. You don't have to be perfect, just don't break the law." And hell, I'm amazed I made it this far. Just don't suck. It's that simple. Such poignant and deep words she shared. I am still in awe in her insight and wisdom. This got me thinking, surely you also had a day marking your biggest accomplishment, and Angie said there were 2. First and foremost was being a mom to Justin and Emma. This was by far her most precious gift. Justin graduated from the University of Utah in 2019 debt-free, and Emma will have the opportunity to go to UNLV and not pay a dime. No kid college debt. Is this how you bought your new car after making senior? The one you said you parked in the strategically bougie parking spot outside your office to all to see and aspire to be? It's all coming together now. Her second biggest accomplishment is being married to Manny for 24 years. But doesn't that sound like Manny's biggest accomplishment, being married to you? Just calling it how I see it. Now on to her best assignment. There were a couple, but her favorite may have been her assignment to Peterson Air Force Base in the NCO Academy. This is where she learned she had an extremely high tolerance for alcohol. And with that valued epiphany, it led her to others who shared her passion for a good party and an occasional glass, or 12, of wine. Ah, yes, these were some of her best memories, at least from what she could remember. She did tell me those people were way retired now and don't use social media, so historical recollection of what really happened at the NCO Academy can never be accounted for, and thank God for that. Due to her lack of recollection, I really can't go into any other details on that assignment. The second was Joint Base Lewis McChord, where she met Joy and Ryan McCammon and Senior Master Sergeant retired Teresa Hatch, who Angie said would always point out she was services and not personnel. Regardless of what side FSS Senior Hatch was on, this is the leader, Angie told me, who taught her how to write powerful evaluation bullets and eloquent Air Force decorations. It's at this point of writing my speech I had to pause and go back to look at her evaluations and note she was working at the NCO Academy teaching others how to become the best of the best before she was even taught how to write. The old smoke and mirrors, we call this in the Air Force. Touché, Angie. Moving on, I wanted to transition to her husband, Manny, her backbone, her lifeline, and her rock. I always had wondered how they met. What was the real love story that built the foundation of her success and perseverance? They seemed all too perfect, like he was her first and last love. Well, what I pieced together from a cryptic email and a jointed conversation was that at her first assignment at Nellis, her pre-Manny boyfriend was deployed and she was headed out on the town with friends. But does Manny know this story, the pre-boyfriend? I guess it doesn't matter. I'm here now. We can't change his speech. Anyhow, she was headed out to the Vegas Strip to rollerblade with friends. And while waiting outside her dorm for everyone to go, Manny came blazing by, rollerblading right into her heart. This is the part of the story I transitioned from pre-Manny deployed boyfriend to Manny new boyfriend. With hard work and determination, strategic stalking, and mad rollerblading skills, she sparked up a conversation under the pink Circus Adventure Dome tent, and they have been inseparable ever since. Was it her classiest move? Maybe not. But did it showcase her determination and focus, which is what the backbone of the U.S. military entrusts us with? A fierce warrior who set a goal and achieved it while multitasking, looking cool on two wheels, while forgetting about the other guy? Absolutely. Truly a real love story. But what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, so I can't really confirm to all of you if that story's true. I know Senior will probably talk more about her family, but they have been at the cornerstone of her life and served as her foundation since her career started 26 years ago. She talked about them nonstop on deployment, and we spent countless hours working through our various home issues while serving under one of the most horrific officers the Air Force ever put in command. Through that experience, along with our joint service partners in crime, like Kegel, I don't know if she's here, our little Navy kid we always let hang with us, we forged a friendship that helped each other through some of our darkest days. See, I lost my father on that deployment, and at the time, a Tech Sergeant Ramirez filled in my position while I flew back to Texas for 2 weeks to lay my dad to rest. She took the brunt of the beating from our commander, otherwise known as Satan's mistress, and served as top cover for our airmen until I returned. Senior Master Sergeant Ramirez is a worker. She exhibits what any commander wants to see. If you're going to talk the talk, be prepared to walk the walk. Common sense will override stupidity every day of the week. She does everything to 100% and would go to the ends of the earth to protect those she oversees and those who oversee her. That was one of the most challenging deployments we had ever had, yet when it was time to step up and step in, she didn't hesitate. I will forever be grateful to her for allotting me the opportunity to go back home and then return to my mission back in Afghanistan. I cannot express how much that meant to me and her friendship during the time, and that's what helped me get through the rest of that deployment. Satan's mistress has since retired, and thank God for the Air Force finally putting that broad out to pasture. But a valuable lesson was learned on top of that deployment: treating others how you would want to be treated at any level. Reputations are forever and will always be a small Air Force. It takes a lot of courage to raise your hand and repeat an oath that entrusts you with the care of a nation. It takes perseverance to continue to serve and watch the world change, pick up and move to different parts of the country or all around the world, change your circle of friends, starting all over, making new ones every couple years. It's a privilege and a right that no one who has ever served would ever have asked to have done differently. I am proud to be your friend, I am humbled to be your speaker, and I'm extremely honored to have served alongside you. Congratulations on closing one chapter and starting your next adventure back in Vegas. Back on the Vegas Strip. I'll leave your next occupation up to the crowd's imagination. May God help us all. And congratulations, my friend.
I don't even know how I'm going to follow that. Thank you, ma'am.
Lieutenant Colonel Lewis, will you please come forward for the medal presentation? Ladies and gentlemen, please stand while Lieutenant Colonel Lewis presents the Meritorious Service Medal to Senior Master Sergeant Angelica Ramirez.
Publish the order. Attention to orders. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, 1st Oak Leaf Cluster, to Senior Master Sergeant Angelica H. Ramirez for meritorious service 22 June 2016 to 31 August 2021. Senior Master Sergeant Angelica H. Ramirez distinguished herself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Superintendent, 75th Force Support Squadron, 75th Mission Support Group, 75th Air Base Wing, Hill Air Force Base, Utah. During this period, Sergeant Ramirez proficiently led the wing's largest squadron, comprised of 9 flights and 547 airmen, serving 28,000 customers across 5 major commands. While serving in this capacity, her expert oversight of the Base Honor Guard program drove the flawless execution of 450 details with 80 airmen across a 169,000 square mile area of responsibility. Moreover, Sergeant Ramirez's leadership provided instrumental in the deployment processing of the first F-35 combat mission and the installation's 2019 Air Force Materiel Command Full Spectrum Readiness Inspection. Furthermore, as a career assistance advisor, she coordinated and obtained $3,000 from the Top of Utah Military Affairs Committee to establish a first-term Airman Center home-cooked meal program, serving meals to 130 personnel and their families. Finally, her unwavering efforts led to the squadron's recognition as the Commander's General Curtis E. LeMay Award recipient for 3 consecutive years. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant Ramirez culminate a distinguished career in the service of her country and reflect great credit upon herself and the United States Air Force. Thank you, Colonel Lewis. Colonel Graham, will you please come forward for the retirement orders? Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the reading of the retirement order. Attention to orders. Order number AC 019358, effective 31 August 2021. Senior Master Sergeant Angelica H. Ramirez, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force, you are relieved from active duty Air Force, 75th Air Base Wing, Hill Air Force Base, Utah, and retired effective 1 September 2021 per Air Force Instruction 36-3203 in the rank of Senior Master Sergeant. Thank you, Colonel Graham. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Colonel Digsby, the floor is yours.
All right, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us to help celebrate the careers of Angie and Manny Ramirez. A combined 52 years of dedicated service to our great nation. Simply amazing. Manny, thank you, brother. This is an honor to do this, not only for an incredible leader who has left a lasting legacy in the 729, but also for someone I'm proud to call my brother for life. So thank you. Thank you for the honor. We do have so many visitors here with us today and joining virtually. So for Team Hill leaders, mentors, friends, family, thank you for the time, for taking the time to be here today to show your support to Angie and Manny. Thank you also to those that were planning today's event. There's a lot of work that goes into these things. So thank you to each and every one of you for, no kidding, keeping the tradition going and what that means to serve and to celebrate the career. So thank you for that. As we know, family is at the bedrock of everything we do. We're honored to have Granny, Manny's father, Emmanuel Ramirez Sr., his stepmom and father, and his brother and sisters and their families here with us today, coming all the way from El Paso and California, respectively. Thank you all so much for coming. To their daughter, Emma, and son, Justin, the life of a military child is not easy. All of the missed birthdays, holidays, school changes and adjustments, thank you. Thank you for those countless sacrifices that you've made over the years. We also have Manny's uncles, Master Sergeant retired Albert Segura and Tech Sergeant retired Jose Rodriguez and their families here. Thank you for your service too, as well. I know you were instrumental in helping guide Manny along the way, along the years. Well, here we are, 26 years and some change from the day that Manny headed off to basic training to begin what would be an incredibly successful career in the Air Force. Before I begin, though, let me share one thing that Manny reminded me of. Every airman's got a story, a talent, a passion. It's understanding that story that allows all of us to connect on a deeper level. So please join me over the next several minutes as I attempt to tell Manny's story, highlighting some unique experiences that defined his career and, most importantly, the impacts he had on all of us. Manny's story begins at 19 years of age. Given Manny's age, we don't have time to start this story any earlier. Manny joined the Air Force just a few weeks after Angie in September 1995. For some perspective, that was the last time the 49ers have won a Super Bowl. Sorry, Manny Hazard, I know that run cuts deep, but Manny wanted to feed the fight as fast as possible, though. It was during basic training that he would find out that he was selected to attend power production technical training. Just like during that same period, we looked at the list of available jobs, found the one with the shortest tech school, and said, "That's it." And no kidding, that's where Manny was headed. So after getting close to completing tech school for power production training at Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas, he received his first assignment. So what does he do? He picks up the phone immediately and calls his father and says, "Guess what? I'm going to Germany." And he and his father are very, very close, and he understood that this would cause some chaos. And so, because at the time, and still today, his father was living in California. So Manny knew this, and after that shock wore off, he told his father, just kidding, I'm actually headed to Nellis, to Las Vegas. So much to the family's liking, I know, keeping Manny close. Manny would be assigned to the 820th Red Horse Squadron, quickly becoming the cornerstone of the power production shop. You know, for the next several years, from 96 to 2000, he would deploy countless times. The first was to Guyana, South America, in 1997. During the deployment, Manny installed and maintained the entire power grid for a 450-person base camp and 3 outlying sites. So these are skills that are now coming back in to our service with agile combat employment. And Manny was doing this, well over 20 years ago. And it's good to see that stuff coming back. When he wasn't looking after the military site in Guyana, he was volunteering to restore a regional healthcare center in town, installing generators, service drops, lighting, improving the quality of healthcare for the indigenous population there. But as you've heard earlier in this speech, that was also the first assignment where Manny would meet his beautiful wife, Angie. So Manny tells the story a little bit differently. Yes, it's true. They met in Vegas. He had mentioned that I think that she had laid eyes on him in the dormitory. That's where they first met, the dorms, and that he invited her to go rollerblading on the strip, and I think he believed that would be the perfect venue for him to show off his physical prowess. They would marry in April of 1997, which made those first couple of deployments even tougher. This was before Facebook. This was before Zoom. And some of the old heads in the room know what I'm talking about. This is when you had to write a letter. And so that's what he did to get him by those tough deployments and the family. You see, Angie was Manny's rock. Always there through thick and thin. Someone Manny could depend on in life when the world was changing around him. And change it did. Manny would add to his family with the birth of his son during that first assignment in '98. With that first assignment coming to a close, Manny had to make a tough decision. Manny loved the ops tempo in Red Horse, absolutely loved it, and was fighting hard to stay there. But orders were coming, a couple of times even. So to stay in the military or separate. It would be one of his earliest mentors, Chief Sabo, that helped guide Manny through that decision. And thankfully for all of us, he accepted those orders to Korea in early 2001. Manny would serve in the 51st CE Squadron at Osan Air Base. Supervisors would describe Manny as an outstanding crew leader, selfless, expert mechanic, all leading to his team being cited as a strength during a 2001 headquarters PACAF IGORI and contributing to several wing excellent ratings. Manny would earn a promotion to staff sergeant and receive orders back to Nellis and back to the 820th Red Horse Squadron. Manny, you were going home again. Manny wasn't home for long, though. As we all know, in the service, he deployed a few months later to Al Dhafra Air Base, the UAE, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Manny's efforts during the deployment were instrumental to the successful completion of the largest Red Horse project in history, supporting OEF and critical to the Combined Forces Air Component Commanders' strategic plans for future basing of forces throughout the theater. Manny would return from the deployment in time to welcome the birth of his second child, daughter Emma. Manny would see a couple of more deployments back to Al Dhafra and Guyana, complete his CCAF, the first of many academic degrees over the years, before the family would PCS to Peterson, Colorado during the summer of 2007. Manny would join the 21st CE Squadron there, where he quickly excelled with every challenge. Booster Club president, designed and implemented convoy training. I knew that came from somewhere, Manny. For the wing, sharing his expertise with over 2,000 Peterson Airmen. Giddy up, brother. He deployed again in support of OEF, where he reconstituted $35 million in assets for the Air Force inventory, earning recognition by the group commander as the #1 of 25 airmen within the 380th MSG. Manny and the family really loved the outdoor lifestyle that Colorado provided, but was looking for a career change. Maybe with a little push from Angie and some discussions with his uncles, who were also Air Force recruiters, Manny submitted a package, I believe while on deployment to Balad, to become a recruiter. After submitting the package, though, I don't know if it was weeks or months would go by, but he didn't hear anything. Didn't get any indication. It wasn't until the recruiting team that was visiting the NCOA Academy at Peterson where Angie was able to engage directly with the team to help revisit and move that package along. Again, she's been his rock. With her push, Manny returned from Balad and received a spot in the next recruiter class. It would be a busy time for the family as they sold their home in the Springs, prepared for recruiter school, and just all of the things that go on with PCSing to get settled in their next assignment with the 361st Recruiting Squadron in Spanaway, Washington in 2009. So Manny, now a tech sergeant, was responsible for the next generation of Air Force leaders. Let me tell you, there's no one better suited to be the messenger for our mission and values and compete for our nation's brightest youth than Manny. The transition to recruiting was not without its difficulties, though. The first 6 or 7 months was a challenge. All Manny knew was deploying. This was very different. You were headed to high schools. But Manny quickly adapted and became a remarkable recruiter. He picked up a second CCAF, aced his recruiting cert, and earned his Master Recruiter Badge in 2010. This was no surprise, or actually one other accomplishment. You were actually the top recruiter that year for all of Alaska, Washington, and Oregon. Just absolutely phenomenal. No surprise given Manny's work ethic and ability to connect with people and understand their story. It was now the summer of 2013 and time for the Ramirez's to move again. After a few soft matches on his next assignment, it was originally going to be to Ellsworth. So Angie stepped in once again. Once again, and due to a overage of master sergeants at that base, Manny's assignment was changed, and he was now headed to Hill, and which would be ultimately his last unit here in the 729 ACS. So when Manny found out his RIP said Air Control Squadron, his response was poetic. What the is an ACS? I'm not a controller. What Manny did know about the ACS, though, was the ops tempo was similar to Red Horse, and he knew he was going to be able to get back out into the field. Manny would not take any time at all before jumping into his responsibilities to mold the Angry Warriors into the lethal dealers of death and destruction that they are today. His leadership was recognized early on when the commander at the time, Stu Williamson, tapped him to be the interim first sergeant for over 400 airmen for 8 months. Manny was selected because of the trust the command team had in him and his ability to connect with airmen, especially when those airmen are facing some very, very tough issues. Manny has that care factor, always helping airmen be the best versions of themselves. Manny would continue to be a rock-solid leader as the flight chief for ground maintenance, resulting in numerous BTZ and quarterly awards for his airmen, all while pushing the squadron to restore its focus on field readiness and also taking the time to improve himself, earning a bachelor's degree in organizational management. Manny's Herculean efforts carrying the squadron during a wing inspection and 2 deployments earned him the 2015 Squadron Senior NCO of the Year. Manny wasn't afraid to lead at any level. He served on various Hill Air Force Base leadership boards, ALS Commandant Award Board, the Hill Airman of the Year Board. He piloted multiple professional enhancement seminars for Team Hill. Manny helped mentor young officers going through. They stood up a flight commander's course a couple of years back, about 6 to 8 years, when young senior lieutenants and young captains really need that support and guidance. Manny was there at a critical point in their professional development for them. The Air Force got it right, and he was selected to Senior Master Sergeant. A day that, like I said, man, it feels like it was just yesterday that you guys were pinning on senior in this very same building. The Air Force got it right, absolutely. And you would lead the Mission Support Directorate in our squadron as the superintendent. As one of my superintendents, I leaned on Manny a lot. His sage advice and counsel were welcomed. It was certainly needed in 2019 when the squadron was notified by the base that we were going to have neighbors next door. For some squadrons, that may be a good thing, but for an air control squadron with a big, powerful radar, you do not want to be that close to that kind of RF energy. Our neighbors at the time when we initially found out, Manny and I, our neighbors were going to build, again, in an adjacent lot separated only by a fence line between our property and theirs. The initial lease owner was reported to be an elementary school. So after a survey of our fence line with Manny, he looks at me and he's like, not a problem at all. I've got an idea. We'll get the team into chemical gear with full battle rattle, run drills right along the fence line near the proposed, kickball site, and reenact a few scenes from Outbreak, and that'll solve our encroachment issues. In light of the last year, I'm glad we ultimately decided on a new course of action. But Manny and his team, the MS Directorate, built and executed a plan to relocate our critical mission equipment to an adjacent hill, offset from the new structure, essentially establishing an operating site from the ground up, just like back in those early days, Manny. Ensuring the 729 wouldn't miss a minute of valuable readiness training. And this all resulted in a grassroots campaign to rename the hill Manny Mountain. There wasn't anything Manny and the men and women in the Mission Support Directorate couldn't accomplish. So I want to expand a little bit on the Mission Support Directorate and his leadership. By the numbers, it's the smallest of the three directorates by at least half. It's also diverse in AFSC makeup. You've got everything from IDMTs, Power Pro, HVAC, supply, vehicle maintenance. In spite of the numbers and the various backgrounds, year after year, the MS Directorate was winning awards, not just at the squadron group and wing level, but at the MAGCOM level and higher. The mission support teams that Manny was charged with leading were innovating and accelerating change, always to increase the readiness of the Angry Warriors. The one constant, though, year after year, was you, Manny. You don't build high-performing teams overnight. Manny did the hard work. He got to know his MS family on an individual level. During those lunches in Power Pro and in VM, Manny would understand his troops' needs, motivations, and ambitions. He gave them productive feedback, allowing his airmen to see their successes and failures and grow from each experience. Manny trusted his airmen to innovate and find solutions, always there fighting to equip them with the resources to be successful. So, brother, that's your legacy. You built a winning culture rooted in family that led to winning teams. Manny, our Air Force is better today because of you and Angie's dedication, commitment, and sacrifice over the last 26 years. As you close one chapter and open another in Las Vegas, may it be all fairways and greens for you, Angie, and the kids. We are eternally grateful for your service to our country and the world's greatest Air Force. It is time to get this party started. Hazard, can you lead us off?
Ready? Last one. Sit and count.
Thank you, Colonel Digsby. Lieutenant Colonel Babyyards, will you please come forward for the medal presentation?
Policy orders.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand while Lieutenant Colonel presents the Meritorious Service Medal to Senior Master Sergeant Emmanuel Ramirez, Jr. Attention to orders. To all who shall see President's greetings, this is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, 1st Oak Leaf Cluster, to Senior Master Sergeant Emmanuel Ramirez, Jr. for meritorious service 22 June 2013 to 30 September 2021. Senior Master Sergeant Emmanuel Ramirez distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Superintendent of Mobility and Readiness, 729th Air Control Squadron, 552nd Air Control Group, 552nd Air Control Wing, Hill Air Force Base, Utah. During this period, Sergeant Ramirez skillfully led 6 work centers and managed 58 personnel in medical logistics, civilian engineering, and vehicle equipment in support of an $83 million tactical surveillance weapon system. His extensive knowledge was instrumental in the management of 494 assets, resulting in a 94% mission-capable rate, earning him the squadron's 2018 Chief Daniels Award. Additionally, Sergeant Ramirez effectively navigated a management internal control toolset inspection and scrutinized 31 checklists. His attention to detail resulted in 0 write-ups, garnered 3 superior performers, and culminated in the unit earning a highly effective Inspector General grade. Furthermore, as the commander's primary civil engineering advisor, Sergeant Ramirez helmed the Mission Dependency Index initiative and identified 9 mission-critical facilities, propelling the Air Force's strategic $2 billion annual military construction budget. Finally, his tireless efforts were crucial to the Mission Support Directorate garnering 9 annual awards, 12 quarterly awards, and 4 below-the-zone promotions. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant Ramirez culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Thank you, Colonel Babyyards. Colonel Digsby, will you please come forward for the retirement orders? Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the reading of the retirement orders.
Publish the orders.
Attention to orders. Orders numbers AC 00619, effective 30 September 2021. Senior Master Sergeant Emmanuel Ramirez, Jr., by order of the Secretary of the Air Force, you are relieved from active duty Air Force, 729th Air Control Squadron, Hill Air Force Base, Utah, and retired effective 1 October 2021 per Air Force Instruction 36-3203 in the rank of Senior Master Sergeant.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Will Colonel Graham and Senior Master Sergeant Angie Ramirez please join Colonel Digsby and Senior Master Sergeant Manny Ramirez center stage for certificate presentations. The seniors both received retirement certificates which read, Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that Senior Master Sergeant Angelica Ramirez and Senior Master Sergeant Emmanuel Ramirez, Jr., having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of September 2021 and the first day of October 2021. Thank you, Colonel Graham and Colonel Digsby.
In addition, both seniors also received retirement certificates from the Commanders-in-Chief, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, spouses' certificates of appreciation, the Commander of the 75th Air Base Wing, and the Commander of the 552nd Air Control Wing. These certificates are on the table to the right of the stage for your viewing after the ceremony.
The seniors will now present each other the U.S. Air Force retirement pin. Don't stab her. Do you need a stool? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Senior Master Sergeant Angie Ramirez and Senior Master Sergeant Manny Ramirez, United States Air Force, retired. Angie, the stool is yours.
I'm going to try to make this short and sweet because you already see I've started crying a long time ago. Kaylin and Brad, thank you. You know I'm a control freak, and the fact that you did not let me touch this, thank you. I appreciate it. We are forever grateful. We are forever grateful for what you've done for us. I have the list to go through.
Don't play it, don't look at it.
I know that voice. I can't see you, but I know that voice. Beto and Jen. The both of you have been my nanny ever just beside this entire time. I'm forever grateful for you being the best. Thank you.
Love your face.
Love your face. My mom, my dad, thank you. I would not be here without you. I do wish my dad was here, but my dad, I'll say this, I got my work ethic from my dad. My dad's working. My dad's always working. So thank you. Before I forget, my entire family, the Ramirezes, the Rodriguezes, the Carrillos that could not be here, the Haldeman's. Oh my God, there's so many. We cleaned out El Paso, literally. The Seguras. If I miss you, my apologies. I'm in the middle of it right now. But thank you for being here and traveling all this way. Our friends, all of our friends, even our friends that are watching, from wherever you're at in the world, thank you. We could not have been here without you guys. My Uncle Albert. Thank you for showing us the way. My Uncle Albert was a recruiter. He got us all in. He made gold literally on his In fact, the first person that I called when I found out I made senior, and I still remember we were getting ready to go celebrate, I was sitting in the closet putting on my shoes, and I called my uncle. I told him, holy shit, I made senior. Thank you. Thank you, and Valo, for pushing us as much as you guys did. Oh my God, I don't think I can see anymore. Chief Santos and Chief Ellis. I would not have continued to fight if it wasn't for you both. Chief Ellis could not be here. Her son's graduating from high school, and Chief Santos flew in and surprised me.
Surprise!
Surprise! Chief Santos, the first day I met her, walked into my office And I literally looked at her like, I'm not gonna cuss. Who is this and where is my chief? Little did I know that you were gonna be standing beside me at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, pushing me and showing me how to take care of these airmen. Thank you. Colonel Graham kind of told a short story, but I learned how to be a wingman from Colonel Graham. I picked Colonel Graham to be my retirement official back in 2010. In 2010, when I left Afghanistan. She showed me, even as a tech sergeant, at that moment I knew what it was to be a wingman. That's how long I lasted. Thank you. I'm trying to think what else. Manny.
Don't.
Okay, I'll start with the kids. I did this for you too. You both are going where you're going because of this. But I did this for you too. Our biggest accomplishment, mine and Manny, are these two kids. My proudest thing with these two kids, the fact that our son graduated last year from the University of Utah and that Emma's starting school in the fall. My kids are my everything. Being away from them was the hardest thing to do, but I always knew that they were taken care of because they were always with Manny and they were always with my mom and my dad. That's the one thing that we had. Manny said today, he goes, this is not normal. Nothing we've ever done is normal. But you kids are my everything. I wake up and I think of you, I go to bed, and it's all for you kids. And then Manny, oh Manny.
There's an extra tissue.
I would not have kept pushing if it wasn't for Manny. My goal was to get out at 4. I had a job lined up at 4. Then we kept going. And we kept going. And we kept going. It got longer and longer and longer. Finally told him at 15 I'm out. He turned around and looked at me, is your degree done? Nope. Guess you're not getting out. I kept going. We should have been here a long time ago. We kept on going. Thank you for pushing me. I got another, I think I'm done. Thank you.
If she missed you, you're on this list. I just saw it.
Manny, the floor is yours. Angry! We're not as good as he is, so.
Wow, babe, we made it. Holy crap. Side story with the kids, right? She said, you know, we take care of them and all that good stuff. All the amount of times that I was deployed, everything was great. Once I became a recruiter, we kind of flipped roles. She started taking, you know, all the deployments, and I was a recruiter. I had 2 in-school suspensions and a trip to the ER. So I don't know what that says, but I think you have a better record than I do. So, all right. I'll get to talking. Like I said, like it was stated before, I was a prior recruiter. And if you give us the platform to speak, we're going to speak. So, all right, so here we go. Colonel Digsby, Colonel Graham, thank you for taking a lot of time out of you guys' busy schedules to come out. And I'm making this event for Angie and myself and the family really special. Colonel Babiars, Colonel Lewis, thank you again for coming out as well. You know, it's not very often that you do middle retirements. So this speech went through several iterations. I thought about it a lot. I look back at all the retirements I've attended, including the ones I helped coordinate. I picked and chose what I wanted to do and what I didn't want. The last retirement I attended, Senior Bishais, I could barely get through my presentation, so I decided not to have a retirement. Well, guess what? I changed my mind. Truly, the ceremony is not to celebrate us, but to highlight the support of the families and the friends. This is for you. The rest of this speech is more like an awards acceptance. So I hope I don't hear the music telling me that it's time to get off. So one thing, full disclosure, I promised my mom that I wasn't going to cry. But I do have severe case of allergies that affects my eyes, ears, and throat. So, Chimmy, if you're watching, I'm not crying. It's the allergies. I'd like to thank my dad, my in-laws, Felipe and Bodie, for making it out to celebrate this event with us. I'd also like to thank my sister Gloria and her husband Shane, Haley, Nathaniel, my brother Edgar, his wife Danita, Anaya, Espen. All of you have served at a certain capacity. Once I left, you guys had to take the helm and make sure everything was straight at home. To my El Paso family, Granny, Albert, and Mary, Valo, Nina, and the entire clan that made the trek out west. Jeff and Rosa, thank you for making it out. It's a good thing we got on your calendar, buddy. Thank you, Sergeant Oshana, Sergeant LaPlante for emceeing. Thank you, Sir Airman Gaines, for the beautiful rendition of the national anthem, and thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, for the invocation. And also thank you, Sergeant Bratsburg and Camp Bratsburg for heading up the multimedia. Also want to take a deep and a round of applause for Sergeant Tenser and Brad Tenser. I don't think they're going to do any more retirements after today. Again, this is not the norm, doing a dual military. And to our family and friends joining us from through the black web, thank you for making the time to join us today. If we forget anyone, we apologize. The list is just too big. We're here for a minute. We'd be here for a minute, and we don't want to do that, so I better hurry up. Allergies. Finally, a special thank you to my mom. Sorry, a little bit of water. All right. Here in spirit and watching from above. Whew. All right. I knew that was going to be the hard part to get through. At least a hard part. Here's the harder piece. It's been a short 26 years in this business. Never in my wildest dreams did we ever think we'd make it this far. It would not have been possible with the professionals we met along the way. In words of two of our mentors, Teresa and Bonnie, you'll know when it's time. My time came when COVID hit. And I couldn't go to work. I was considered high risk. That and I was higher tenure, so I couldn't go anymore. So I had no choice. As I look out into the audience, I see our future airmen, A1C senior airmen, staff sergeants. I said it before, I was a recruiter. I loved it. Correction, I love it. During my time as a recruiter, I worked towards finding my replacements. Anytime I had an opportunity to talk about the Air Force, I did. Just ask my wife, she hated it. Now, after 7+ years in the ACS, I can look back now and know my replacements are set, are in the seat. I've always strived to train, mold, and mentor them, good, bad, or indifferent. But everything I did with this in mind. Damn allergies. As long as it was legal, moral, and ethical, and most important, what was right for the airmen in the Air Force, I couldn't go wrong. Folks like Donnie Ingram, Tony Ferletto, Michael Curtin, David Cyphers, Izzy Rivera, Martin Pringle, Werner Houston, Mika Paz, Mina Bratsburg, David Manley, Noah Gutierrez. The list goes on. What I realized then that those before me were doing the same. Take pride in my work and not overlook the smallest of details. A then senior airman, Jeff Hayek, who taught me to take pride in my work and not to overlook the smallest of details. Take care of your generators. Although he popped our basketball one day, the point was clear. Do it on your time. Got it, buddy. Chief Retired Tony Savo, who taught me resilience after I misused my government travel card. Yep, sure did. Received an LOR UIF and still managed to get me back to Red Horse for a second tour. He also told me to get off the pot. Well, Chief, I took it. Chief Alfred Beachy for sitting us both down and going through our records and guiding us through the senior rank. Chief Ernest Jones, Chief, yes, I ran out of fingers and toes for that bullet, and I don't hate it. Chief Bossard for believing in me. Although I was long in the tooth, you and Colonel Digsby took a chance. Good thing it paid off. It's because of you both that I'm here today. And Chief Bliss, thank you for pushing me these last couple months. Senior Bishai, my power bro. You challenged me. I learned a lot from you. Together, yes, we made an awesome team. Starsky and Hutch. Hell yeah. David Hughes for helping me through some tough times while we were in SC. And no, a chimichanga is not Mexican food. Senior Hamlin, Sergeant Josh Hartman. Sounds weird, but he was my work husband. He was the tip of the spear in standing up the MS Directorate. We plowed through all the hard times and ultimately set the foundation for what MS is today. Sergeant Albert Segura, Jose Rodriguez, helping me get through that recruiting gig, teaching me all the tricks of the trade. Just look at the gold badge. Additionally, thank you to the Officer Corps. I've had the honor and privilege to work with folks like Lieutenant Colonel Brad Evans, Major Edward Royval, Captain Andrew Pineda, Captain Kim Panisaga, and Captain Sumter, and Lieutenant Powell. Colonel Digsby, thank you for allowing me to serve an additional 2 years. You took command and navigated the unit through unprecedented times. We tackled through some tough challenges and ultimately catapulted the unit forward. I admire your leadership and dedication. Trash Mountain will forever be known as Mount Digsby, a.k.a. Manny Mountain, or a.k.a. Hazard Hill. Remember that. Colonel Babiars, these last several months have been challenging, and the unit continues to evolve under your reign. I only wish I had more time to see the amazing things that Angry Warriors will accomplish. Thank you for allowing me to roam aimlessly through the hallways and transition to this next chapter of my life. But seriously, thank you for the chats we had, for allowing me the time so that you can hear my 2 cents, even though I was on the way out. And lastly, go Niners. Yeah, buddy. I also had the honor to have been Lieutenant Colonel Doug Clutch Boydum superintendent for a short period of time. Little did I know that I was going to be working with Tom Cruise's stunt double. Thank you, sir, for all the support and leadership directorate. And thank you to Major Aaron Boss Roberts. These last couple of months, you've taken the bull by the horns and led the Mission Support Directorate, producing impressive results, sweeping the first quarter awards in all 3 categories in the squadron group and 2 at the wing. MS is in good hands. Seaman Sergeant Donnie Gray, love your passion, brother. Drive and the unit's readiness, Thank you for bringing this dedication to the Directorate. Wish I had more time to serve with you, my friend. Mr. J, we've been together for a minute, seen a lot, done a lot. Where you at? There you are. All I got to do is look for the beard. I will miss our conversations about anything and everything. My goal now is to grow a beard as magnificent, as majestic as yours. I will miss you too, my friend. Last but not least, the past and present men and women of the 729 ACS. There's a reason why the Squadron Shield says best in the field. Thank you for all your support these past 7 years and the awesome memories. Keep pushing forward. Lead, follow, or get the, I'll let you finish that up. Some say, and I stress some say, I am a leader, but that I am not. I am, however, truly humbled to be compared to such individuals. Those mentioned are the true individuals. Okay, I'm almost done. Dad, 26 years ago, you followed me to the military enterprise station in LA. Not once did you ever leave my side. I remember looking back and seeing my mom at the door as I was whisked away. The next time I saw you both was at Lackland. I wanted to give you and Mom a hug, but I was too afraid to get recycled and go through another week of hell. Like that? Yeah, it's for YouTube. Well, I stand here before you, Dad. You and Mom taught me how to care for my family. That hard work pays off. A job well done. So I've won a lot of accolades. I've earned a lot of awards in the Air Force. So took a little play from a buddy of mine. So I wanted to present you my last award with the Air Force. Brad must have forgot it. Brad, you got the deck? Okay, it's okay. Oh, I'll go that way. Okay. I'd also like to thank my son, Justin. If it wasn't for his sacrifice growing up, we would not be here. We witnessed you grow up over the years, develop. I will never forget the day that I held you in my arms. Justin, you're a key ingredient to our success. Thank you, mijo. I also want to thank my daughter, Emma. With her on my side, our baby girl. You've grown up so fast before our eyes, and you stand here before us, ready to graduate tomorrow and off to college. UNLV of all places, you had the opportunity to go somewhere else. The Air Force Academy, Hawaii, where you decided to milk it for all it's worth. The sky's the limit, kiddo. Rent's due on the 1st. So, okay. So I'll stand up here and do the play-by-play. Don't fall. All right, we good? All right. I was going to say, if I don't make it to work on Monday, you know why. Last but not least, Senior Master Ramirez, Ange, Bibbs. You're retired, right? You retired? All right. Allie, you got it?
Uh-oh. You're retired.
All right. So, Because she does retire before I do. She does become my dependent. So to kind of remind her, TRICARE, what rank are we now? Hashtag dependent life, BAS, BAH. Babe, here's your trophy. Yeah, I might as well give her flowers. Words cannot begin to express the amount of gratitude I have for you. You are my biggest fan, my partner in crime, my soulmate. You most definitely had the tougher job, or jobs. Mother, wife, airman. In no particular order, you've mastered them all. You are my rock, you're my anchor, you're my everything. Man, these allergies. Whew. Simply put, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and loved more than you know. If I could give you one thing in life, I would give you the ability to see yourself through my eyes. And only then you will realize how special you are to me. I love you. And don't forget, you're my dependent now. Okay, I'm almost done, I promise. I'll leave you with this. Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. Any questions, concerns, moans, groans, bitches, or complaints? Easy, it's all yours.
Your allergies must have rubbed off on me, so, whew, yeah, but thank you, Manny. The men and women of the United States Air Force are proud to have served with Senior Master Sergeant Angie Ramirez and Manny Ramirez, and assure them that they will always be valuable members of the Air Force. We wish the seniors and their family every success in their future endeavors.
So I'm going off script for a second. So we got these, and we just have one question. Did we pass?
Woo! Sorry, we did good.
They told us not to mess it up.
Yeah.
In a fancier word. All right, we conclude today's ceremony with the singing of the Air Force song. You will find the words printed inside of the program. Following the Air Force song, you are invited to join us in congratulating the seniors and their family in a receiving line. Please stand for the singing of the Air Force song. Afterwards, please allow the family and distinguished guests to depart first. Thank you.
On behalf of the seniors and their family, thank you for attending today's ceremony. There are light refreshments provided in the back of the room, and yes, the bar in the E-Lounge is open. And stay, take photos, have fun, and have a great Air Force Day.